Okay, well I'm recording now. Say hello to the internet.
I want to say hello to the internet. There's fucking weirdos out there.
Well fine, don't say hello to the internet. I wasn't planning on doing it either. I guess we kind of need to specify what this is. So this is us talking about what we hate about Diablo 3 because Blizzard threw this game together in a few months. I actually had someone tell me that, well, I told someone that, and they responded with, no, they've been working on this game for 9 years. I can't think of a single game that's actually been worked on for 9 years aside from Duke Nukem, and that just doesn't bode well for games that have been worked on for more than 5 years.
Guild Wars is being worked on for 9 years.
It's only been worked on for 5. 5.
And there's no release date in sight?
Yes, there is. It's sometime this year. This year. Okay?
Or whenever it's ready.
Like whenever it's ready. You know what? I saw a joke about that. It was a motivational poster. It was completely black, and it said, "This poster will be released when it's ready."
Well, that says something about Blizzard. They put things out on time, even if they aren't ready.
Yeah, and I'm not happy about that at all. Where do I start? Okay, well, resources. Why the hell not?
I actually liked the resources.
You like the resources?
Like, it used a lot of the same things, but at least they tried to move away from the traditional mana rage energy.
Well, okay, you can say that, but here's the thing. I noticed that the only difference between the professions or classes and their resource was that they had to, like, either you had the recharge or you didn't. That was it. That was the only difference I noticed in the resources. And the resources, for the most part, don't really increase with... at least I didn't notice any that increased with your level. So I don't know why they didn't just say, hey, they're all going to have 100, and that will make it easy for us to calculate numbers.
None of them got increased except the Witch Doctor, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you're right, the Witch Doctor. No, but when I say resources, I'm not really just talking about the energy and the life. Potions, scrolls, money.
We had scrolls?
Well, in Diablo 2 you did. See, the thing is that these games, the action RPG genre, is based around resources because really, there's not much to the combat. It's very simple. And that's part of the appeal.
Are you kidding? I love the combat. You walk into a hallway, you pull the chandelier down. Then you walk into the next hallway and pull the next chandelier down. Isn't it great?
I don't recall the chandeliers ever working except for the one time they were scripted to work for the purpose of introducing you to the idea that you can use the environment. Other than that, the environment never worked. But I feel that the lack of resources was a bit of a downer. It didn't really give me much else to focus on other than clicking and clicking and clicking. Yeah.
Well, in Blizzard's defense, I mean, that's kind of the way Diablo 2 was played. It was primarily clicking.
Well, yeah, but I mean, in between the combat, you had your resources to manage, and you had to manage your space too because of the items. The items didn't just take up 2 slots at max; they took up more than that. So you had to manage. You had space as a resource. You had health as a resource. You had your energy. And you had potions, and you had scrolls, and then you had money. And you didn't always have enough money like you do in Diablo 3. So it was, yeah, it was kind of a resource game, and that was kind of the appeal of it. So they didn't really think that out. Like, really, with this inventory, it doesn't make sense to me because they have 1 slot items and 2 slot items and nothing else. And why?
They have 4 slot.
No, they don't have 4 slots.
Shields are 2x2.
No, they're 1x2. Vertical. It's ridiculous. People keep telling me, no. There are 2x2 items. There are 2x6 items. No, there aren't. I don't know where they're getting this, but there aren't. If there are, I haven't found any, and I played through the main campaign. I've talked to some of my friends that have played into Hell, and they haven't seen anything take up more than 2 slots. It's 2 slots or 1 slot. It doesn't make sense. Why do that? It doesn't give you any benefit. They might as well just go with 1 slot items. They might as well just make it a WoW inventory.
Or, any other traditional MMO inventory. Because that's basically what they've turned Diablo 3 into.
Yeah.
With the auction house and the inability to play offline.
Yeah. And that auction house is a bummer too, because you can't access it without logging out. And then when you log out, you can find out you can't sell a bunch of your stuff because it's damaged. So then you have to log back in, and then you have to take all the stuff out of your stash, and you have to get it repaired. Then you have to log back out, and then you can sell it. It's such a process that doesn't make the auction house easily accessible. And you'd think if they were trying to use that, especially with it being real cash that you can use to sell these things, that they would try to make it accessible, but they don't.
Yeah, durability is another thing that I was really disappointed to see in Diablo. I didn't play a whole lot of Diablo 2, but I hope that didn't have durability.
It did have durability. In fact, in Diablo 2, the durability, it had traditional durability, and I think it's pretty much the game that inspired having durability in other games, because it was hardcore durability where if your item broke, it disappeared from your inventory. You didn't have it, you couldn't even sell it, you couldn't repair it or anything, you lost it. So people had to be careful about that. It was another resource, where you had to make sure your armor was nice and clean, or else you could lose it, and then you'd have to go find another piece or run around half naked.
Did that function the same way in Diablo 3? Did you ever die enough to actually break an item?
I did actually. I broke a few items, and it's traditional MMO where it doesn't actually break, it just goes to 0 and it doesn't give you any benefit.
Perhaps I could leave you here to rest.
I was only jesting.
Yeah.
I'm looking through the wiki as we talk, and apparently they weren't going to put repairing in the game because, and I quote, repairing was annoying.
Yeah, see, I think Blizzard was confused, thinking that action RPGs are inherently fun because of the 1 click and the 2 click. It's not. These games are fun because of the resources, and that's what you should be spending most of your time doing in these games. It's not the grind. There is a grind, but it's resource management that is where the real difficulty comes from, not the combat where it's more, the more clicks, the more difficulty. I will say though that one thing in this game, the one thing I really do appreciate was the physics engine that animated the environment. That was pretty much it though. Because the mobs didn't make sense to me. I mean,
I really
champion.
didn't soak in a lot of the graphics or anything. I was busy killing 3,000 zombies.
Yeah, you know, if they supposedly spend so much time working on this game, why does it look kind of crappy? And it has fairly high requirements, doesn't it?
Please help. The refugees will make fine slaves.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the requirements are, but I recall them being fairly high. But yeah, it looks terrible, and that's just meh. And then let's see, the skill system as well. I don't know why you say you like the combat, because the skill system, which is what composed most of the combat, kind of it just confused me in concept, because if the idea is that you're limited in your skills so you have an actual build, then why do they make it possible to completely change up the location of every skill? And why do they make it so that you can change skills while you're in combat? It
You
affects
couldn't change skills while you were in combat.
Sure you can.
Yeah, but it instigated that cooldown. And
It
combat,
did, you're right, it did instigate that cooldown, that's true. I was just, well,
at least while I was still playing, combat didn't last long enough for that cooldown to, refresh itself.
yeah, you're right, it did make that. Well, then why would they even let you change that in, why would they even let you change that in combat at all? So, if they have that cooldown. I mean, could Blizzard not figure out how to have you in a state of combat where your bar could not be changed? Was that just something they were not they did not have the technical prowess to resolve?
I feel like you are my
They do that in World of Warcraft.
Is that wrong?
No,
Yeah.
do not ask me to give you advice.
I mean, obviously, someone at Blizzard knows how to implement that.
Oh yeah, but that's in the WoW faction of Blizzard. He's working in WoW. Yeah, didn't touch Diablo.
So
Yeah.
they're not allowed to intermingle.
Yeah, they can't intermingle. The art styles might start looking too much alike. Whoops!
You mean they don't?
I mean, they do. Oh, one thing that made me cringe every single time I had to do it was getting a rare item and then having to identify it. That made me cringe. Especially when I would kill.
Think about it like this. If you pick up a stick and this stick has a +4 agility, how are you gonna know that until you look at it real hard and cast something that doesn't really do anything?
Well, okay, but then why do they have all these other magic items that you know all the time? You don't have to identify them.
Because they have obvious stats.
Oh, they have the.
Like, if you pick up a 2x4, and then you pick up a 2x4 with a nail in it, you don't know what's on that 2x4, but the 2x4 with the nail in it is obviously gonna do additional damage.
Yeah, that's a bit of a stretch, I think. I think you're stretching. That's a little bit too far.
I'm trying to defend Blizzard.
You're trying to defend Blizzard. I don't think you're doing a very good job.
That's because it's hard. I feel like George Zimmerman's worth
Yeah. No, but it made me cringe because I would kill like the Butcher or even Diablo, and then I would pick up all these awesome items, and then I would have to sit there for about a minute while I identified them all, and I didn't progress at all. It was just sitting there. It's like click. And I couldn't do anything else with my interface too. It locks your interface while you're doing that. If you do anything else, it stops identifying. You have to start all over. It was kind of bullcrap. It was kind of like, it was almost like with like working in IT where you fix something and then while it's installing you go make a cup of coffee and a sandwich, except with the fact that you have to be there to constantly click the items.
Well, at least you don't have identification scrolls to worry about. Because, I mean, it's not like even if you did have the scrolls to worry about, you couldn't just press T to town portal back and buy some.
Well, and that's where we go back to resources. Because it used to be with identification scrolls, it would just right click and it worked. You identified. You didn't have that timer.
Yeah, and it was instant.
It was instant. It didn't waste your time. I think Blizzard has forgotten that they do in fact sell games that don't have subscription fees.
Oh, thank you. I thought I was a dead man. I pick up garbage from the aqueduct.
Yeah. So maybe they should stop giving us things that just suck up our time and give us things that actually make the gameplay fun.
You know what I do like, though, is how Blizzard does content patches. I mean, they have bugs for the next 3 days afterwards, but they're free. I mean, it's not DLC, you know? Well, on a technicality, but it's not expensive DLC.
Well, how frequently? No, I'm not gonna get drawn into the discussion of WoW and subscription fees and how much you actually pay before you see any of these content patches. I'm not gonna get drawn into that, but yeah. Well, but with this, you're gonna buy Diablo 3. It's $60. It might get dropped down to 50, 40 maybe. It's a piece of crap. I could eventually see it one day going down to 20. But then they'll have an expansion of this game, and they're going to charge you another $60. That's that's Blizzard only updating when they have a subscription fee. Because
I wonder if they're actually gonna sell a battle chest, like with the discs and the strategy guide and everything, for D3.
they did that with D2. It was rather popular because D2 was a popular game. It worked well with StarCraft as well because StarCraft was a popular game. I don't honestly see.
Battle chest.
I don't see them releasing.
But we're moving into this era of no discs.
You sound troubled.
Well, I still bought the collector's edition of Guild Wars 2 for the extra content. Call me a sucker, but I did.
You paid $90 for a poster and a doll.
No, I paid $150 for a poster and a doll. And a soundtrack.
No, because 60 of that went to the game.
Oh, right. You're right, yeah. So yeah, I paid $90 for posters, a doll, and a soundtrack. I think it's a fair deal. I've seen people pay way more for dolls. You have no idea.
Can't hear the soundtrack in the game or anything.
But I want to hear the soundtrack while I'm riding my bike to work. While I'm at work. I want to think I'm into it while I'm at work. Anyways,
Is there
moving on.
anything that you legitimately enjoyed about Diablo 3?
Anything I legitimately enjoyed? I enjoyed watching the cinematics. Maybe they should have just done Diablo 3, the movie.
I skipped every cinematic.
It was.
I like
They
how
were,
that's an option.
they were the only thing I found enjoyable about it. Another thing I found about the interface, about the auction house, was that it didn't do anything to make it easy for you to find out what other people are selling your items for. And maybe this is something that I'm thinking it's just so obvious because it's in Guild Wars 2, and it makes so much sense that when you put in an item, it will show you what other people are selling that item for in the auction house. It just seems like such an obvious feature that makes it amazingly useful or amazingly easy to sell things for the correct price that will actually be bought, as opposed to just putting everything up for 10,000 and hoping that it's the correct price. There, defend that. And then I also what didn't make sense to me was that and this only just encourages the idea that Blizzard is defining difficulty as clicks per second, was having champions as 3 monsters. Which I wouldn't mind so much if it weren't for the companion NPC saying, "I've never seen such a creature." A creature. Not creatures, creature. Yeah. Is there a search feature here? There is a search. Just... Yeah, and then the voice scripting along those lines, that was pretty bad. There was also the whole playing with friends thing. You know how when you and I were playing, it was we kind of noticed it was slow going. I actually noticed when I started playing on my own that I was leveling severely faster, and it's like Blizzard. It has this little line of code in there that makes everything more powerful with the number of players around it, but it doesn't increase the amount of experience that's pushed out. So everyone just gets screwed because they're leveling slower around monsters that are stronger than them and stronger than normal.
Well, because Blizzard didn't design the game to be played through in one sitting.
No, but they did design it to be played with friends, and you'd think they would put in features to encourage you to play with friends. Like, I don't know, better drops maybe? So not even that, maybe just even experience. Maybe better experience. Not worse experience and harder mobs. It's difficult to play with friends, especially when it comes to the fact that it's so hard, just on the leveling part, to keep up with your friends, because some of them will play more than you, some of them will play less than you, and when you try to play together, you'll either be underpowered or overpowered in their environment, and when they come play with you, it'll be the same thing. It's just like either everything around you will be killing them, or everything, or they'll be killing everything for you, and you're pretty much just running after them. And it's not really that fun. Just some people like the idea of being power leveled, but I like to actually play personally.
When you have, what, 8 character slots, you can always just reserve one of those for playing through a campaign with a friend. Because there's 5 classes, so that's 3 extras.
Well, you could. And then, okay, I have absolute proof that they didn't put any thought into this game. They just kind of designed it in a few months and went with it. People think it takes effort to actually make a game, like an extreme amount. It doesn't really take that much amount of effort. You can throw a game together in a few months. The hard part is coming up with all the art. That's where developers really get hung up, or on servers, or on hardware. It's not the coding. It's, the art and the hardware, essentially. But my final proof that they did not really put any thought into this is the fact that the Demon Hunter has a number of skills that do not require you to have a crossbow. Examples, the chakram or the grenades. However, they have no way of indicating this. And those are pretty much the only 2 skills you can use without a crossbow or a bow or some type of ranged weapon. Now, here's the part where they didn't put any thought into this. The fact that you can equip a sword if you like, but you can't do jack shit with it, because because your main hand, your first skill, your primary skill, if it isn't one of those 2 skills that works with the sword, it won't work at all. You won't have an auto attack, you won't have anything. You'll just be clicking and it won't do anything. Why do you even make it so that the demon hunters can equip swords? Why not make it so that they just can't equip anything that is melee, or at least give them the auto attack if case they want to do the auto attack. Maybe grenades aren't their thing. Maybe they want to get close up in combat. It just doesn't make sense to give them that option to begin with. Do you have anything to say about that?
There ain't no guards around, are there? Most of my items have almost no blood.
Not really.
Not
I
really.
never even thought about equipping a melee weapon on a demon hunter. I mean, bows just kind of felt like the thing I should have been using. Like, I'm shooting arrows. Hey, let me equip a bow. I'll just place this on the shaft real quick and, blow the arrows at everybody.
Yeah. I also found that there was only one occasion I've played across most of the I've played every profession, at least up to Act 2. So I have some experience with all of them, and one thing I found, only on one occasion did I find that I had a 2-handed weapon that was doing more damage than 2 one-hander weapons. They did not scale 2-hander weapons appropriately to make them usable.
I think they did, because I was noticing on the Demon Hunter, when I had 2 hand crossbows, it was switching between them, so there was really no point in dual wielding. I mean, yeah, it was faster, like it was noticeably faster, but since everything scales off of percent weapon damage, I was still doing more DPS with the 2-handed weapon.
Yeah. There's actually here's a huge thing about the two-handers that really nagged at me. You're doing, like, right now I'm doing 68 damage, 67.98 damage with 2 crossbows. If I were to say, let's say I found a two-hander bow that did more damage than my main hand, which is a crossbow. It would compare that crossbow to my main hand and my main hand only, and it would say, "Oh, hey, this is going to do more damage for you. You should equip this." And it would have a little green, damage number, and it would say plus like 2.9 or whatever. But then you would equip it and you would find you would actually start doing less damage because it wasn't factoring in your offhand. Yeah, and just another thing that Blizzard didn't really care to look into was, hey, is the inventory working just fine? Is everything all right in this? Does this work? Does it make sense? Is it usable? Because clearly, two-handers are not usable, especially because they don't show you the appropriate numbers when you're comparing them. When I hover over an item, I expect to just be able to see, okay, this is doing this damage, and it's going to improve my stats or make my stats worse by this much.
Well, the thing is, it's all preference.
It is preference, but really, what this game is going to be being designed for PvP. That's one of the huge things that we're pushing, especially in their videos. Which, mind you, they haven't even released the PvP, which tells me that they just rushed this out the door without a second thought, because they're still working on the PvP. I'm guessing this game will change a lot over the next year, maybe. If not, then Blizzard is just complete shit. I actually have a friend who, after playing this game, he's done with Blizzard entirely. He's canceled his World of Warcraft account. He's canceled everything. He's done with them. They've disappointed him far too often.
I was done with Blizzard around the point where they buffed Frost Mages after they were overpowered twice in a row. But yeah, Diablo 3 is the last straw. Like, they just could have done such a much better job with this. It's just not the experience I remember having from Diablo 2.
Yeah. There's also the crafting system, my god. The crafting system that it's useful for beginning items, but after like level 10 it becomes useless.
Does it really drop off like that?
Yeah, it really does. Let's see, I have a level 14 belt that it's rare, and I'm comparing it to a rare belt that I can build, and by the time I'm 26, I'm probably going to have a much better belt than that one. Just looking at the armor, my current belt, level 14, has 41 armor. This belt has 54 armor. And that's at level 14 to level 26. It does, in fact, drop off like that. The gems are pretty much the only thing you're really gonna use, because combining gems into more powerful gems, that's a useful thing. There's no way around that. One thing that did kind of nag at me with crafting was the pointless crafting timer, which just again shows that Blizzard has forgotten that this is not an MMO. This is not a time drain. This is not me putting in more time so that I can catch up with my friends because I'm paying a subscription fee. I bought this game. I want to play this game. I have this game. This is my game. I'm gonna play it. I could drop it. I'm not gonna pay you any more money, and I could just continue playing it in a few months without a second thought. of, do I really want to put more money into this game? So I shouldn't have to worry about a little timer because I want to craft a nice belt. Yeah, that exhausts my list of hate for this video. I will say though that what they did with the henchmen is a huge improvement over what they had in Diablo. Because in Diablo 2, my henchman would die, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's not fun. That's fine. They do that," and then I would just keep playing until they gave me another free henchman, and then that henchman would die, and I'd be like, "Well, that's fine. It's no big deal." But with this is nice. They feel like your partner. They're your partner in crime.
Yeah, I didn't get to play around with NPCs a whole lot because I only played online. Because, like, if I'm connected online, I just don't want to play offline, you know what I mean? Like a single player campaign. But I did see how you could choose their skills, and I like that to an extent. I don't like maintaining an entire team's gear, but I will customize their skills. I will set their AIs. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, that it was nice because, you know, a demon hunter is going to want the same Templar as a barbarian or as an enchantress. You know, some classes have more healing, some have less, some need more of a tank, some need more damage, and so on. But yeah, that pretty much sums up everything that I have to say about Diablo 3. The majority of the mechanics in this game were poorly designed without a second thought, but the cinematics are nice. That's about it. Do you have any final words?
Well, as long as the cinematics are good, you can pretend you're playing Final Fantasy. You know, before Sony ruined that too.
Final Fantasy. Maybe that's why I didn't like this game. I'm not a huge fan of Final Fantasy either.